So, next part is a discussion that we want to make about the future of Operaton. So it's an open discussion. There are many things that we need to do now. So we have reached our version 1.0 with a focus to maximize stability and compatibility. But from now on, Camunda is dead, and we continue our own story. And we have to talk about, where does it go? And actually, it's not written in stone anything here now. We need you as users, as contributors, and to say what is important, where do we go next. We have technology-wise some challenges, like Spring Boot 4 is around the corner. Spring Boot 3 will be end of life next year. That's some obvious thing. The Jakarta standard has evolved, Jakarta 11 is on the way. The DMN standard has evolved. We may want to adopt, and there are many things that could be discussed. What we need to discuss, it's now up to the panel discussion, and we make it a little bit more interactive. This will be a so-called fishbowl discussion. Means there are always 3 people on the stage. Anyone can stand up and go to the stage if he wants to contribute to the discussion or raise his opinion, and can kick out someone else from the stage. Either so when someone approaches, maybe some of the panel from the panelists mean, okay, I have talked enough, I go by myself, or you can also say, okay, you out, I have a place here, and of course he can force the seat back. Because it's a bit more interactive, we have to play now with the microphones a bit different. So if you are here on the stage, you have to get one of these microphones, and then continue the discussion. So, being said that, let's continue and just start.
Okay, if nobody wants to, I can make a start. So I think the technological progression is pretty straightforward, right? The standards we rely upon, you already told us about it, Carsten, the Jakarta standards, the Spring framework, Spring Boot, they evolve around us. So they will move forward. We don't have a choice. We have to adapt that. And I think this is something which is really understandable, that this has to be in the roadmap. So we need to make sure we are compatible to those future versions. We need to make sure we are compatible with future Java versions. So from a technical point of view, I think our hands are, you could already argue, really forced to adapt to this. Else our software kind of rots, and at some point we will have a bad awakening that a new library version, new framework version, new Java version is released, and Operaton would not be able to run with that. And I think this is one of the main points of maintenance we will have to do in the future.
Yes, I think it's a really important point to get out the message that Operaton is also good for new projects and not only for legacy projects. And we have to prove that we can adapt to an ever-moving ecosystem. And this has to be on our main agenda, I think, because we are also in a very good position from a technological standpoint to adapt, for example, to Spring Boot 4 and other advancements. And yes, we should deliver and leverage this advantage. So, Andreas, do you have something to add?
Not to the technology part, because you have said all of things what is urgent and necessary for us. But I think also for this part, we need people. We need to grow out or increasing our community. We need to increasing our contributors, like mentioned already, and we have to bring up this situation so that we can getting a stable, growing community and working on this also, because we need people to this work what we have here said on the technology stuff. And so everyone is welcome to join us. and to talk with us about this point. Yeah, and these are these points which are coming in the future also, where we have to manage community management. We have to bring up structures for the developers, for example. We have both talked about already in the past what is coming up with new technology and the documentation. We need internal processes. We need to bring up transparency for our situations there and all these things together, I think.
I think this will be the most challenging part in our next chapter, to get this open source governance right, because we are in the progress of or it's our main idea to create our own association, so to say, German eingetragener Verein, and we have to get it right. That the governance structures right, and it's I know many people are complaining because there are always delays to get it done, but we decided ultimately to get it right and not get it fast, and there will be a non-profit eingetragene Verein association that will govern the project in the way that it will be the legal entity, and we have to define it. It's actually an open discussion, and there will be two separate, or that's my idea, that we have a separation of concerns or separation of power. Like the development community is using our community standards, like our code of conduct and our ADRs that we will hear later from Tobias, to govern the product development, and the association basically monitors it, that the development community does it right. So this is, for example, my idea how it should work. But it's always it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And perhaps you have to add something, or you?
Yeah, the other point is also to say that the association will be part of the public relation and public communication, so that this is the face of the Operaton in the future anywhere. And so, Stephen, you want to come up and...
No, I want just ask a question. I don't
Okay.
want to pick one of the the rule is usually
So come up and get my mic.
And you can switch directly again.
No, I'm wondering, because it's primarily focused from a technical perspective, code quality and doing the technical stuff. And I'm a technical guy myself, but I'm not a developer. And what I'm looking for is basically an executive summary explaining the governance model, and basically who's the commit assigner or the approver on the code base. Because from a public perspective, I've had it myself. I started my project. I was the first in the Netherlands with a completely open source code base. And I ended up with a pull request from an unknown guy in Amsterdam who added code with the pull request and asked me to merge it. And I hadn't thought of how to address that. And I couldn't basically assign, or I couldn't qualify the code. And my concern from an executive level is how to prevent backdoor stuff like whatever added in the code base, and who's accountable if I run Operaton on a premise running business logic, doing public service decisions, and somehow there's an issue with the code base. So what I'm looking for in short time period is an executive summary explaining from a technical perspective, from a legal entity governance perspective, how to address the accountability from a public administration perspective. Is that an interesting, or is it?
So, as you say, okay, there must be someone who reviews stuff that is contributed, and this is actually something where I'm really concerned that we need more power. Actually, we could not have come so far if we would have reviewed everything what has happened. I took the freedom to commit just stuff where I was quite sure that it's moving in the right direction, and with the security that we can't really break something because we are just better and have the freedom to also break things. And sometimes things broke. Yeah, we have to detect this, and then we have to fix it. But from now on, things will change. We have a product which companies rely on that it's stable, and therefore we need also better ways for assuring the code quality and what goes into the code.
I see three different issues. So the first one is code quality and not breaking things. For that, we have an excellent testing framework in place and excellent test coverage.
I'm comfortable with that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second one is bad actors who would try to commit something to our code base with a hidden backdoor. I could maybe imagine that so just a proposal, an agreement that we agree if somebody is an outside contributor who was not vetted and voted in as a core committer, then we need maybe 2 eyes on the pull request. Something like this, that we treat code that comes from outside as fairly as if it came from a core committer, but that we agree, okay, we don't have to move that fast anymore. We don't have to finish the whole JUnit 5 migration in just a few weeks. This is something I could imagine. So the third part is in the governance, if a new feature is proposed by a pull request, who agrees on if that is a good idea or not?
Yeah.
And I think for this, we already have the beginnings of a process in place with our architecture decision records.
Yeah.
So this is actually just happening. So we got a feature request for a change in message event processing. And first there was a discussion on the issue to make sure we understand what the issue is or where the desire for such a feature comes from. In the second step, we will create an architecture decision record because it has an impact on the engine, outlining the proposed feature, maybe some alternatives, pros and cons. And then there will be a vote from the core committers to make sure that many people really considered the pros and cons deeply and had a discussion about this, and that there is a consensus that this is a good idea. So
But,
those are the
yeah.
3 pillars I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm sort of aware of those because I'm already enjoying the Slack community quite a lot. So I can address those. I would love to see a documenting page, as I called, for the executive C suite, was it called earlier, which basically describes these. Operaton release 1.0, state to date, what is it, November 2025. This is the current state to date of controlling the system in the areas you mentioned.
I think
And
that's a
an
good idea.
objective of what you want to achieve there. And from my perspective, I would love to review code without having any knowledge of Java. Because asking stupid questions is also helping, because you sometimes from your own expertise, you will end up being blind for information that's not there, but is there needed for people not familiar with the code base itself. So that would be nice, I think.
I think we will also challenge if we introduce those processes to keep potential contributors of these features stay with us. Usually you are used to I want to change something, I propose something, and a short discussion, and then it finally gets merged. Things will change here, and the discussions will be longer, and especially also if they affect the architecture itself, so that there the process will get naturally longer, and we have to find a way that we stay kind of agile on that part, that we move forward and not go into endless discussions, but discuss as long as it's needed to find a good solution. And it will be challenging for outside contributors to live this way.
while we are talking about outside contributors, I'm sitting on the stage for a long time now, and I'm the only one left from the starting trio.
Go.
Is there anybody who is not part of the core team and here as a visitor or user and would like to share some ideas on how it would be easier to contribute or to ask for features, ask for some changes? Is there anybody who would like to use that space right now?
Maybe you should
Marcin, come here.
qualify some developers which will be allowed to.
You don't have a mic. Nobody can hear you.
You have to sit here.
No,
Come over here.
Yeah. We don't bite.
So maybe we should qualify developers which will contribute to the project. Maybe it could we have to prepare some, you know, some trainings on site for them in order then to give them a task and some issues to solve, and qualification of such a developers I think it could be a good way to reduce and some random change requests.
Very good question, very good part, and as a part of his question or his situation, we need to bring up structures, onboarding situations for how we can contribute. I think I will talk later about the documentation, and this is needing a part of our documentation that we cannot only looking in the repositories or on GitHub or anywhere else. We're needing a very easily way to bring up junior developers or anyone else of stage of experience level to getting and helping on Operaton. And for this is the next big step to bring up the structure, the situation. Also, what I think what Steven is mentioned or was mentioned is to bring up key persons to directly question to them for they say, okay, you are a key person about contributing, you are a key person about documentation, you are a key person about web apps and such things. And we need to write them down to say if you named them, you can reach them out in the forum or in the Slack channel or anywhere else, for example.
And they have shadows for them.
Absolutely, yes.
Right, you
backup
need
shadow.
more than one.
I think some of them will go to holidays sometimes in a year, and so we need a shadow or a second person of them. But we need a structure, we need a situation therefore, and to handle this is now the phase of defining. We have work harding in a very small team 1 year now for bringing up this first release. And now it's time to say, okay, come on, bring up structure, bring up governance, bring up legal entities and such things so that we can say, okay, we have a stable situation and getting faster, increasing situations for the next years. Because now it's the first year over, but we want to go the next year. Come over, take my mic.
I was sitting here.
Carsten want to go, take his mic.
Actually, I need you also on
Okay,
stage.
and then-
One thing. Well, I need you, three of you. Oh, okay. The question is, probably you're developers. Most likely, I'm the only one not. So you're talking about developing tools. Cool. That's why I need you here. But at the end of the day, somebody has to make the customer understand how to use it.
Yes.
And then, in order to make sure that the customer uses that the right way, there has to be a way to test, pilot in small steps. For us, a nice picture here. I'm not sure who was presenting it. The picture of the small plant, bigger plant, overgrown car. That's the example how people can use it wisely or not. So the developing tools, yes. But then I need something to work with a customer to make sure that actually I tell you what I need for the person that set the business requirements.
That's not how it works. You have to be released by someone else. But yeah, I would be interested here in a perspective from actual users, from those that are relying on Operaton, how they think the product should evolve and what it needs to gain the trust from more users and companies to use Operaton. This.
Second try.
Actually, I was thinking that I could attract you.
Yeah, I was sitting there in the back and was already waiting to find the right moment to jump in. So we are actually using Operaton at the core of one of our main products. So we're kind of like heavily relying on Operaton, not only for release 1.0, but also beyond that. And my question or my concern at the moment is that with this October 2025, Camunda is going to be end of life. There was a clear North Star to work against, right? And everybody was very clear, okay, then we have to be ready and everything has to be done. And you took some shortcuts if you needed to get the JUnit stuff done and all these things, right? There was a lot of energy. And now the release is there. October is over. And what is like the next North Star and what is the next thing you're running for? Is it technological updates? Is it getting more enterprise features in? Like, how do you make sure that you find your next North Star? And I guess if you find one, it will be easy to attract contributors if you have a clear vision where you want to go. But the question is, what is the vision after October 2025?
That's what we talk about here. So what can be the vision? For now, the next step should be that we are somehow plannable for companies like you. That you know when do we plan to do certain things? When do we release this? What can be in there? Feature-wise, but also that we establish the structures that you get frequent updates. I think it is not over with version 1.0, and we recently just agreed that we will release a version 1.1, so no breaking change in February. But we definitely cannot wait until February with the next release. So there will be a version 1.01 or 1.02 soon. We did not start it yet, but we need to establish that, and we need to define a release cadence that is really plannable, but also doable. So at the moment, it's also a matter of resources. Now, can we really deliver high quality feature releases each, let's say, 3 months, or is it 4, 5, 6 months? I think, from my perspective, 6 months would be too late. We have to be faster, but larger features, if we really develop features, they need to get stabilized and tested well until they get into a release. It will be hard to find out what we identify as next important features that companies really need, and that we need this input.
I will go another way, a little bit more in the other direction, and a little bit like the second sentence on the slide behind you, because we have sorting about the idea. It's not only a technical North Star what is necessary. I think it's also the situation to say BPMN process automation for everyone. We need to spread the word that this engine is on the market now, and we need to getting this North Star also to communicate about this, to talk about the idea and things. And then we're getting also feedback about what is necessary to getting a technology, a second North Star, for example, where we can following and such things. I think so. This is both ways what we can following in the next years.
What's wrong with having a release scheduled as of today for each quarter? So basically, you will release every end of every quarter, every year for this coming 2 years. What's wrong with that? Because then you will have the repeatability. They see progress every month. The communication there, it's a sign of life you show, and you have a repetitive character of having a release. So my objective would be, I want to see a Operaton release every quarter for the coming 2 years. What's wrong with that?
It's a good question, but I think we need to handle this. as the
Well, an empty-
people which are in the free time working on this project.
I get it, but
and we need content for this every quarter
no, okay, but
to
an
getting something to change.
But an
That's an excuse.
but an
There's
empty-
content
yeah,
enough.
No.
Okay, then bring us.
Yeah, but an empty release is also a sign of how do you say this? Oh, how the community is adapting to what's required.
Yeah, that's fine.
So if there's an empty release 2 quarters next to each other, you need to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Are we a viable product or not?
And I will answer your question again about there's enough stuff, and I will say, but this stuff is not handling in 1 quarter because some of them is bigger and we need more time to develop on them. So we need, when we will do this, and I think an empty stuff is also a little bit a sign like, yeah, we have done a release, but there is nothing inside. This is nothing worth. And so for me, it's, yeah, let's do working. I'm going to another project. PostgreSQL is mentioned there. We are a project working on people on the free time. Everyone wants your mic. and I think this is, yeah, we have to handle this. And yes, we have to bring and prepare releases. But is it necessary to bring empty releases? I'm not sure if this is a good way, because it's also a communication situation.
I don't think we are at the risk of running an empty release for a 3-month release cadence, because there are always library updates. There are always minor updates which are not security critical, which this would obviously trigger a patch release. Yeah. But it's always nice for clients to know, okay, with this update, if we are using this version, we don't have any old libraries in there which are 2 years old or older. And if a new version arrives, then it's in there, it's tested, and it works. Yeah. So I think it's crucial for here to refine our release process a little more. I think currently there's still an amount of manual effort left, this which Carsten thankfully does every time. I think we already talked about reducing that effort. And I also agree that we don't have to have that one big feature in every minor release, because it's that's a point I want to bring into the discussion. It's completely okay to not improve a product if it's stable and working. So we shouldn't try to find features just for building features' sake and just for signaling we are a live product and we are building features. So I'm coming from functional programming, and some libraries and programs there, they haven't been updated for years because the maintainers say they are done, they are stable. And that's the other extreme, but I think we shouldn't risk innovating just for innovation's sake.
Exactly, and I want to also come back to this empty release. I also do not see that there is a risk in going out of things that are moving. As you said, library updates, for example. So Operaton 1.0 is 2 weeks old. Okay, we forked it for the release candidate, so, and then we just did stabilization, and from then on, it immediately continued with 1.1 already, and we have since then already. I have to see, but I would feel like 100 to 200 commits on the version 1.1 already. So there's no feature in it. No, it's just improving, and it's library updates and improving the process, the documentation, and whatever. No? So, but there's plenty of stuff in it.
What I agree on, though, is that we need to make a better effort on communicating our release cadence and how we plan to continue this. So there is a discussion right now in the project what would be a viable cadence, and I think we should strive to clear this discussion up and communicate what we are planning to do in the future.
All fine. I will say only one last sentence for this point is, Carsten has done so much in the last 12 months, he need a break. In a few minutes ago, there comes the question up about shadowing these people. And I think he need a shadow, and we have a problem when we say, okay, he is doing all reviews, he is doing all code reviews and such things to bring up. I'm completely agree with the sentence what's coming up, but we need people to getting every quarter a very good quality and a review. Because, sorry, Carsten, you make a great job, but you need a break. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the points you just raised were really good, because coming from an also open source project using the Operaton-Engine, we had to think about a lot of these aspects which you were talking about as well, like community building, but also how to set up like release numbers and versioning. So I think that's a really important aspect in terms of making people who are using the engine clear, okay, that's a minor release which just increases the dependencies and other aspects, and those are features which where new features come into the engine, but not necessarily everyone will adopt to at the same speed. So we also have to think about how to keep those versions alive, also sometimes for like a maybe longer period of time. And I think there to define processes around that to describe that in a good way where people can understand it on different levels, I think that's a really important aspect.
Structure. Yeah. Thank you.
So now, oh no, I will.
One question to you, because if I understood you correctly, you told that there is no need to publish the new version if everything is stable. Don't you think that architects, creator of the new version of the roadmap for Operaton, are our clients? They always need something new. And I think that we need to listen them, and then we have a lot of work to do for the new version.
Yes, definitely. So as I said, not to innovate just for innovation's sake, but when there are really hard requirements and feature ideas, that's obviously something that should be included in the engine and released. Yeah.
Yeah, so listen our clients and watch our competitors to create roadmap for new versions. That's my idea for it.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes, we need setting up structures to bringing up this idea to our structure plan, to our feature plans, and to talk about these situations. And so we need to bring up structure situation again for this way, for example. Yes, because this is currently not available. We have in forum, yes, and we have their points, but we need to bring up this in public test to say where you can put up these ideas. Where's a good way to talk about? We have talking about rating ideas, for example. When we're getting a lot of feature requests about good ideas, what we can bring up in the engine or around the engine, what we have want to handle, what is the next one where we want to talk about, or where we want to develop, we have to talk, because in the moment we have 2, 3, 4 developers which are working on this, and so we need a clearly favorite list, for example, and we cannot do everything on the same time. So we need structure, we need processes, like mentioned, where we can handle all these situations. This is the point. And this is the second North Star, what I mentioned. I think, yes, we have a lot of things to do. There's a technology change in the future, a lot of things. Java is developing again, and a lot of stuff. But we have also to pronounce that there is an engine, a new market player, like you mentioned, a competitor. We have I think a good sentence to say BPMN is for everyone, so that this was the thoughts behind the sentences. Every company, a smaller one, bigger one, every organization, small clubs, big clubs, associations, can testing and trying for free. And then, yes, they're testing, and so we needing getting them back. And that's the point. We needing and getting in contact with these people. That is a very huge target what we have to reach. And this needs work also and such things.
And to do it in the most easier to do it easier, yeah, to
Yes.
do it in friendly way for people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's great that we are having a discussion about governance and where the project and the association is moving to. Maybe somebody wants to put me out of my seat again and talk about what they, or yes.
I would have a question.
Yeah,
come on. You need to get a mic.
And it would switch the topic. So, my question is, do you guys, as the core committers currently, I haven't had the opportunity to invest time myself, but I would like to actually, if my employer lets me. But my question is, since Carsten, I think also in the beginning talked about who's using who is the deciding factor to introduce a business process engine into your company, or I think it was you.
In the talk, yeah.
And since you said it's usually the developers or the architects, my question is, do you guys have any plans to take this show on the road, if you will, and hit all the developer conferences to tell people that Operaton is alive and should be used, I guess.
Sure, we will do. Tim is already doing this, and we will come into the situation that we go more often to conferences. Camunda was made so successful because they did this. So they went to developers, like Tim also said in his talk, and they set the seeding, and the developers knew this is great stuff. I need this for my project, and Operaton and BPMN is still a niche. So they just need to be aware that what is Operaton, where can I use it for, and that it's not this big thing that the CTO is introducing for the whole company. No, it's something that you need for your small little project, and it's easy to integrate. And this the developers have to know, and many developers, and therefore we started to go to the Java user groups. We will go to meetups, but of course we need the time. And actually, we have also customers who demand our services on the daily basis, and we do not have all the time to go just visiting conference for conference. And also we have families. They want to see us also. And going to conferences usually means being away from family. My wife would kill me at the moment.
Yeah, but this is also what I mentioned is we need a structure, we need the association to getting enabling for people who want to talk about. So not only the core contributor can do this later, it can be also done by everyone who will be part of this community, or who will be say, okay, I'm open for talking about the situations. And I think this is necessary in the next years.
I think it will fit with what I was wondering also, because I had a quick look at the hub, which basically already is ending up with a quite comprehensive list of all kinds of additional services, stuff around Operaton, which basically feels like a free, advertisement for those hub stuff. Maybe you can require something upfront, or as a result of being published there, to have an assignment within Operaton community to add your own effort towards the community. So for me, it requires a both ways addressing, and now it feels like we provide, because I was thinking myself definitely, but I felt some reluctancy to do that without having a proper effort put into Operaton community, not being the plugin I promoted today.
Actually, you're doing much for Operaton. You're using it, you're promoting it, and this is incredibly valuable.
I'm aware of that, but we need more than that.
We need also those to get into the situation that something is built and contributed. We have not only the hub. The hub is the last thing that we added to the web page, where everyone can list their contributions, their products, their additions, their plugins, and so on. I don't think that we need some hurdle to get there on this list, except for this is clearly related to Operaton, especially if it's a commercial product. We also allow commercial products to be listed there. But there's a second page, and this is service providers. No? And service providers mean we are companies that offer services and for Operaton and earn money by selling those services, by selling service level agreements, by selling our products, and so on. At the moment, it's also easy to get listed there. You just have to do something with Operaton. But this will change. Someday we will see, okay, this list, the companies that are listed on the service providers, they need to do something. At the moment, they are doing already something just by saying we are using Operaton. We need to spread the word. That's the number one challenge for now. But we will start as service providers to earn money with that. No? And then, yeah, that's the nature of open source. We need to get this back. And if we earn money, then we can also use this money to pay our people to contribute.
I have another idea. I happen to be invited by an education department in the Netherlands to provide a functional requirement for 5 teams doing a semester of software engineering, and were needed to build an application within a couple of sprints. So I basically ended up being the product owner or the functional requirement for my specification on legislation being analyzed, so they built a tool for that. What about addressing those software engineering education departments, provide Operaton as a service or as a solution, and try to hook on the education process of those teams being assigned to build a solution.
Yeah. As somebody who's working at a university, I would also suggest that going into the education departments and going to your old universities or talking to your old professors and something and go tell them, by the way, there's this new kid on the block which will replace Camunda as an embedded engine, because we have one study course in Heilbronn that teaches every year students how to model business processes, and so far we always used Camunda for that. And I'm pretty sure that we will switch to Operaton also for our practical exams and so on, or we already did. So yeah, that could also be especially thinking very long term, thinking about thinking about current students who will come, the new software engineers. If they leave the university with the knowledge of there is a product called Operaton, and if I have that problem, I will use that tool. That's always a good idea. Everyone gets taught how to use IntelliJ, and then they take that and use that in their job as well. So if we teach them Operaton, they will use it as well.
It's also a matter of time again. So let's say Tim has a small company, and if he decides to go one day to a university and earn nothing and just talk about Operaton, then he is not earning the money for this small company at that day. And of course, we would love to do more visits to universities, to meetups, whatever. But we need that our companies are able to pay us.
Yeah. The good thing is, at least for our university, you don't have to come. We would love to have you, I think, but we will still use it. So that's already done for us. Yeah.
So I'm already teaching a module at the university in Mainz every summer with BPMN. So next year we will switch to Operaton for that. So good topic. We are doing that. And I think one thing that just crystallizes itself during the last questions and topics is that we need to softly ramp up. So for now, we have made a tremendous effort, mostly in our free time and on our company's time, to bring the project here. And now we are in a position, yes, to earn some money with it, with service providers, or other service providers do this too. And I think there's a general understanding that these service providers will then contribute back to the project. And this is not something we can scale up immediately, because the service providers need to find paying customers. and then they have even more interest to contribute back to the project. And this is something that will influence each other. So both aspects will just start rising a little more. And I think I already see this beginning, see this starting. We had some more contributors in the last weeks. We have some people now who create issues indicating that they are using Operaton and also partially agreed to help solve these issues. So I think this is a process which has already started. And we're talking about, yeah, we need to do that in the future, but I think the process now has already begun, and we need to see that we support this process and yeah, keep it running so that more contributors come, more people use it, more people rely on Operaton, and then even more people will contribute.
And I think don't be afraid, and everybody can relieve me here if you want, but don't be afraid to be slow, because what I loved in the last years was that Camunda was very stable. We have a lot of libraries in our project included, and Camunda was never the one I had to think about upgrading to the next feature release. Other libraries stuff broke all the time, but with Camunda we never had that problem. So I don't have a problem with you guys going slow.
So hello to our LinkedIn live stream. We see you. There are a lot of questions, or some questions actually, and you can of course drop more questions. And I will read out the LinkedIn questions now. So Simon is asking, I have a question regarding to support. What is the way of reporting and fixing of bugs, if any ever occur? How do you think about this process?
So I'm a little careful with the word support for an open source project. Currently, everybody is free to open an issue on our GitHub issues. This is already happening. So people from outside are already raising GitHub issues, either with questions where we can clarify, no, that's not an issue, you're holding it wrong, or there is something in this constellation that might require a workaround. But we also have seen 1-2 bugs in regards of testing, and I think there's a fresh bug from yesterday evening where some minor thing in Spring Boot is behaving a little differently. So for the project right now, this is the desired process, that just raise the bug, we will do a triage, and we will see if we integrate it into the next minor release, if it's really, really, really low prio, or if we need to trigger a patch release because something has broken and we want to fix this as soon as possible.
Okay, great. So Matthias noted the release cadence for Camunda 7 was actually 6 months and not 3 months, and it apparently 6 months proved to work quite well for many companies. It was just an addition to the discussion we had. And Ahmed is asking, what makes Operaton stand out from other forks?
That's
What
my
are the
question. That's my
strengths and
question.
differentiations?
I would like to ask about this. That Operaton is not the only one fork for Camunda 7. Why this is the best one? Because it is. Yeah.
So I'm not going to look into the future here because I don't have any insight into the roadmap of other forks. So from what I'm seeing right now, I think Operaton is the only community-based open source project. So it's the only Camunda fork I'm aware of which is backed by a community and not a company, a commercial entity. So this is something, I think this is a neutral description on the differences.
Open source forever.
Yes, open source forever, right. Backed by a legal entity with no commercial interest. So, and you already see this, a commercial entity only implements what they see, where they see a return on investment. And I think that was a great example, our JUnit migration, for example. If you made this as a business calculation, the benefits and the cost, no company would have decided to do this. So we have motivated people from the open source community who just say, okay, this is relaxing to me. I can do this in the evening while watching football, maybe. Yeah. So that's one of the things. From what I also see, I think we are the fork who did the most modernization yet. So we have decided to cut some, in Germany you would say to cut some braids off, some old braids, where we decided to drop Java EE support, where we supported to drop the compatibility for the Java X namespace. I'm pretty sure that with this decision, we prevented some Camunda 7 users from switching over to Operaton fast because they had those older versions, older frameworks, older libraries in place. On the other hand, we put ourselves in a really good position for future modernization. So we raised the baseline to Java 17, which again probably locked out some people, some bigger organizations from using Operaton, maybe. On the other hand, now there is a ton of new frameworks and libraries coming towards us. Test containers 2, Spring Boot 4, they all require Java 17. So we already did the work to support them and to make that quick switch.
Going to that, this is definitely one of the differences of Operaton to the other forks. If you see into the code base of other forks, you will see it's mostly Camunda 7.24 or even 23, the last fork that came out, renamed, and yeah, besides that, not really much happening. And this will draw back to them with the legacy that they bought in. Getting out of this legacy of Java EE was a tremendous effort for Operaton, and it was really also software engineering wise very challenging. This will be a really big issue for those folks if they need to go there. They must go there if they upgrade to Spring 7 or Test Containers 2 support or Jakarta EE upgrade. So going to newer application service. This will be a very big effort. 2 days ago, there was one Dependabot change coming in, upgrading a Wildfly 37 to 38. And it was for us, it was just a dependency version upgrade. All the integration tests were running fine, and we made already much effort into getting into the state that we do not have any pain with that. And yeah, this will be very hard stuff if you go from Wildfly 33 maybe and to 38, 39, and so this will be a major effort without adding any value.
So there's one last open question from LinkedIn that kind of fits into it. Matthias is asking, how do you plan to align future releases of Operaton with major updates of frameworks like Spring or Jakarta EE? Will there be a regular cadence or more flexible feature-driven releases?
Not totally decided. So this is the typical question. We have a famous thread, and actually this was the intention of this discussion at all. I opened a thread called Operaton 2.0 because my way of thinking was that back then there are so many major technology-wise changes that they can't be compatible to 1.something version, and that we ourselves need to make a major upgrade to integrate Spring Boot 4 support or Jakarta EE 11 or whatever comes in. I'm thinking nowadays different because I saw that Tim has already provided POC, which shows that we can be ready for Spring Boot 4 while still supporting Spring Boot 3. So this will be a shift and small and slow shift over, and it will come with feature release. I'm not sure if it's 1.1, but at least 1.2.
Yeah, I think that discussion is really interesting about the forks and how they might be different from each other. But what would interest me is how compatible they are, maybe also in future. So that are there some plans to have some kind of like interoperability layer where you can eventually switch from one engine to another if that's required or necessary? Have you thought about something like that?
Thinking, of course. Answer, no. So we spoke also with other forks, and we are sure that that we should not drift too much away from each other. Actually, if we say, okay, we agree on certain features in the database, and we do not evolve that too far, and also regarding the REST interface, that is evolving really, coordinated with others, then they are interoperable. So for example, we saw Flowset today. Flowset is primarily targeting Operaton, but it's at the same time supporting also other forks, because on the interface level, they're exchangeable at the moment. If this can be kept, this will be a very challenging thing. Of course, we would like to observe what others are doing, and also we will evolve, and we hope that we have a kind of discussion there on that level.
Okay, thanks.
Do you guys still some time? Yeah. Okay. So I completely agree that the technical foundation is kind of the priority zero, and it's also one of the reasons I think we decided also to migrate from Camunda to Operaton, because even now, from the just how much effort there went into fixing vulnerabilities, refactoring, and so forth, I believe, and I think it's the fact that it's probably even more stable than Camunda 7, and still, I'm asking kind of how this goes further. Of course, there are technical requirements, Spring update, and so forth, like we talked about. But also coming to the discussion about other forks and how much of a difficulty they are going to have. Maybe it's also an opportunity for Operaton to differentiate even further in non-functional aspects, like scaling to a lot more active instances and in that the engine can handle, because in the end it's a platform. Everyone has some sort of use case where they need certain requirements functionally, but Operaton and Camunda are so extensible that you can achieve that with plugins, with external tasks, whatever. So making the platform, which is already there, which is very feature rich already, better and more maybe suitable also to higher to bigger scale, could be a differentiating factor. Also maybe to Camunda itself.
If I may. We're already working on that. So I'm currently having a branch on the repository where we implemented an optimization to the job executor. History is that some friendly person whose name I cannot remember right now because I'm really bad with names, wrote on the Operaton forums, I think it was even last year, and said, I'm having a Camunda 7 instance and we expect a lot of load in parallel. And I saw that if I add more Camunda nodes to the database, that at some point throughput gets down. So it gets slower because the job executor, as it is built, it is locking, and at some point the instances are locking each other on the table and they are getting slower and slower. And so this will probably be one of the first functional features we're shipping. We're not sure when. We'll have to quality assure now. But due to change of the underlying database calls to that table, this person the change we proposed in the forums, and he tried it out with his very great test setup in AWS. And I think he was able to get processing time down from 40 minutes to 16. This is, if I remember correctly, you can just read it in the forums if you search for job executor. And this feature is now in testing. It's implemented for all the database systems. I'm currently polishing some unit tests, writing some new unit tests to make sure this works. And we plan to bring this feature opt-in. So we don't want to just publish a change in the job executor to everybody, but this will be available as an opt-in feature, yeah, probably soon, I think. I don't promise too much. So yeah, we're doing things. Maybe we should talk about that more. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so it could be really a differentiating factor to double down on the technical features and providing a platform which is even really scalable and extendable for all kinds of use cases.
So sorry, I need to close this discussion. It was very valuable to have all the voices here, and yeah, we have the chance now to speak person to person in here now on site. But for the remotees, yeah, just raise questions further on LinkedIn. We will process them yeah, asynchronously, and we'll happily answer everything what you're interested about Operaton. So we make half an hour break and then continue with the talks. Thank you.